Dear viewers, this is a Honda CBX750P. P stands for police. The bike was used by police forces in many different countries. Originally, the bike had police lights at the back and a megaphone in the front, but since it was auctioned off to the public, they have been removed. The engine is 750cc oil-cooled 4-cylinder, typical Japanese engine, 16 valves, twin disc brakes. The engine produces close to 90 horsepower, which is a lot for a oil-cooled engine of its size. But the downside is that the engine does tend to overheat a bit, especially if you're standing in traffic. Originally, there was no rear seat. There was a top box, but it has been removed for a rear seat. The bike has shaft drive, so no chains to worry about. That's the shaft drive. Luggage boxes. I'll go over the controls quickly. Now, the bike doesn't have a fuel gauge. Instead, what it has is a fuel switch. So that's on, off, and reserve. In many modern bikes, you don't see this anymore. I think in the US, the Honda sold a bike very similar to this one, named Honda Horizon. They sold both 700 and 750cc versions. Now, looking at the controls, what you have here is a speedometer and a tachometer, low oil warning light, high beam, neutral, and overdrive light. Now, when you're driving on 6th gear, this OD sign lights up, turn signal indicators, high beam, low beam, turn signal switch, horn, self-starter switch. Now, originally this was a police bike, hence it has got petrol light switch. Obviously the lights are not here anymore, but it's got the switch that's to turn the mic on and off, to speak via megaphone, and that's, I think, the 3mm jack for the mouthpiece. Now, that's the engine kill switch, very old 1980s, early 90s Honda style switch. Now this is a 1990 model. I think this type of switch is carried forward till mid-90s, because in all the modern bikes the kill switches are just a switch, not like this. Now the bike has, now if you look here, that's the light for petrol lights, and that's the meter stop light. Now once you turn the petrol lights on, which obviously again this bike doesn't have, this light lights up. Now the meter stop is, the bike has an option to freeze the speedometer at certain speed. So let's say you're chasing down another motorcycle or a car which is over speeding, and you're just behind that car, and then you can turn off the meter, I believe, with this switch. Now what that would do is that would freeze the meter at the last speed or the highest speed. So let's say that would freeze the meter at, say, 90 kilometers an hour, and then you could show the driver, before giving him a massive fine, I think, that his or her car was traveling at certain speed. So that would work, that would be the proof. Obviously it's a very old technology. Modern police bikes have radars and speed guns, but that was the technology back then. I'll turn the engine up. Now that's the choke. If the engine is cold, you do need to use the choke. See, the bike isn't starting because the kill switch is in off position. typical 4-cylinder sound, but this bike is in Bangladesh, so it hasn't been maintained very well. I mean, the mechanics who work on these bikes in South Asian countries often don't know how to tune them well. The fuel tank is 22 liters, I believe, which is massive. Headlight, high beam, clutch is hydraulic. Just put it into first gear. Flying through the gears now. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and as you can see, the overdrive light is now lit. So that's the bike. That shows that the bike is in highest gear, which is sixth. Neutral again. The rear brake is drum. With over 250 kilos, it's a fairly heavy motorcycle. I wonder how well the police were able to handle these bikes in heavy traffic. And also, as I said before, the engine tends to overheat when you're waiting in traffic for long. In my personal opinion, I don't exactly know how good these bikes were when they were new, but for the police to use, I personally think they're too heavy. I've personally owned many other bikes with much higher power and bigger engines, but generally they were all liquid cooled, hence the cooling system was much better. Because it's oil cooled and doesn't have any cooling fans, it overheats relatively quickly. The brakes are okay, but again, this is a bike from the pages of history, really. It's fairly difficult to put it on center stand if you don't know how to do it, simply because the bike is so heavy. The advantage of shaft drive is that you don't need to worry about lubing the chain. It doesn't rattle or anything. That's the oil filter. Not a bad bike for weekend cruise, but not really good for daily use. Thanks for watching the videos, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section.